Good morning, grade 9, my advisory. Let's move forward now to climate change. Okay, climatic changes or changes in the climate, or shall we say a change in a drastic change. You see, drastic change, sudden changes. Like for a long period of time, we have this climate, but then again, um, it was actually changed. Okay, there are some factors to consider, and let's take a look at what are these factors and how we are affected by it. Okay, climate change is the change in Earth's climate pattern due to either natural or man-made dynamic processes in Earth. Okay, there are two major factors. There are two major factors for climate change. Number one is in natural, natural factor. Okay, and the second one is man-made dynamic processes. Natural factor and man-made dynamic processes. Let's take a look at these factors. Causes and impacts of climate change. Okay, how far this climate change affects organisms or affects us as a whole. Okay, Earth's climate has changed since it began due to natural processes like ice age or tectonic plate movement. If there are some tectonic plate movements, tendency is there is a climate change, but it is not that drastic. Now, human activities mainly cause climate change. Mainly cause. You see, mainly, it is one of the major, cause. Short-term changes on climate were brought by natural events such as volcanic eruption. Okay, it can actually change climatic conditions, air and ocean currents, and the amount of sun radiation or sun's radiation. By the way, please ask questions. Okay, again, please ask questions whatever in your mind that are actually connected to the topic, right? Are you still with me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Some were long-term, like continental drift, okay? Continental drift theory, reoccurrence of interglacial periods and ice ages, and changes in Earth's orbit. Okay? If there are some also changes in Earth's orbit, tendency is climate will change, or there is a climatic changes. That's natural. Okay. Some were long-term, like human activities like burning of fossil fuels. What are these fossil fuels, by the way? Can you name one fossil fuel?
Crude oil,
Oil, yes, correct. What else? What are other fossil fuels? Coal. Okay, these are fossil fuels. So fossil fuels, we cannot actually replace those. Okay, those are non-renewable resources. Okay, human activities like burning of fossil fuels and slash and burn agriculture also affect climate. Natural. Let's move now to the one of the major or the major classification of the factors that affect climate change. You have, first is the natural processes, right? Under natural processes, one is volcanic eruption. Okay, since we are actually in the volcanic belt ring of fire, we experience a lot of volcanic activity or seismic activities. Volcanoes emit gases that cause the temperature of atmosphere to drop. Okay, when volcano erupts, it releases a large amount of carbon dioxide. This is CO2, which is again a what? CO2 is a greenhouse gas, and other gases and fine particles such as ash and dust called aerosol. These gases form a layer in the atmosphere that reflect the incoming radiation from space. Okay. Though volcanic eruption contributes to the warming of Earth because, again, CO2 from the volcanic eruption can cause greenhouse effects because it is a greenhouse gas. Its effect is small compared to the effects of greenhouse gases produced from human activities and short-term only. Okay, when there are too many particles suspended in the atmosphere, they can cause an atmospheric haze. Okay, lately, I think that was 2 months ago, I experienced haze here in the Philippines. Here, okay. So where does this, Haze came from? Of course, from the what? From the pollution. Okay? Cause an atmospheric haze which blocks the incoming rays from the sun. The haze effect is commonly seen as red sunset. Okay? Ocean circulation. Okay? Under, again, natural causes. Changes in ocean circulation such as El Nino and La Nina can also affect climate. Why? Because, again, it actually, what? It actually, hold on, I'll just take this call for a while. So let's continue. Again, ocean circulations as El Nino and La Nina can also affect climate. How? Remember that this is actually included in the water cycle. And of course, talking about ocean, it plays a big part, again, in the climate, the cooling and the heating of water, ocean water. Earth is composed of more than 70% water. Okay? Since Earth is actually composed of more than 70% water, tendency is there is a big effect if El Nino or La Nina can happen. Okay? Bodies of water absorb more solar radiation compared to the atmosphere or land. Okay? Ocean currents transport water to ensure balance in global temperature, but if in case there is El Nino, for example, okay, there's El Nino, there is no transport of water to other areas to ensure global temperature. And if in case that happened, what? It will become, or Earth will become hotter and hotter or warmer and warmer until such time that some of the organisms cannot adapt to that certain changes and eventually die. Okay, that's some of the effects. We are still in the peak of the iceberg. Okay, they transport heat that can cause changes in climate. And if in case there are some changes of it, tendency is some of the organisms cannot actually survive. We are still in the peak again. We are still in the peak of the iceberg. Okay. When ocean circulation changes, precipitation also changes or raining. Okay. Precipitation means rainfall. El Nino is the abnormal increase in temperature in Eastern Pacific region from 1 or 2 years. Okay. Countries within Pacific region usually experience too much precipitation, but during El Nino, okay, they experience drought and extreme storms. The opposite of El Nino is La Nina, excessive precipitation. Okay? What do you think are the reason why there is El Nino and La Nina? How could this be connected to global warming? How could this be connected to the greenhouse gases? Can you see now the connection? Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see now the connection, how they are actually connected? Sure. How El Nino and La Nina connected to the greenhouse gases or to the climate change? Can anybody give me an answer? How could this be connected? Okay. How could this be connected? Let's have Jillian. Jillian, are you still with us? how could this La Nina and El Nino connect to the global warming, connect to the greenhouse gases, and what are the effects? Of course, again, if you're going to look at it at the bigger picture, it is actually connected. Okay, this is a domino effect. Talking about domino effects. Okay, talking about domino effect, it can actually what? If there are some changes in here, if there are some changes on a particular area, it can affect the other area. Okay, just like this one. Okay, take a look at this. If there are a lot of suspended particles, suspended CO2 in the atmosphere, and CO2 is a greenhouse gas, and added with the chlorofluorocarbons, which are from your aerosols, it will create what? A trap of heat. Okay, the trapping of heat is called greenhouse effect with the greenhouse gases. If there are some greenhouse effect, tendency is there is global warming. If there is global warming, tendency is there is a higher rate of evaporation in the oceans. If there are some higher rates of evaporation in the ocean, there are some drought. If there are some drought, okay, then it is some of the organisms living in the oceans and living nearby oceans cannot actually survive. Okay, if there are there is a higher rate of evaporation, then the tendency is it will trigger also La Nina, the excessive precipitation. So they are actually connected. All you have to do is to think about, okay, you just put all all pieces together, okay, because these are just connected. These lessons are just connected, but we are still actually figuring it out. Okay, let's move forward. Solar activity. Okay, solar activity may affect climate for a short period of time. Solar activity meaning to say the activity of the sun. The sun is one of the major sources of energy. Major sources because again the sun is not the ultimate source simply because again as what I had discussed in volcanoes, there are some bacteria living in seamounts. Okay, volcanoes underneath ocean floor. There are some bacteria living in the seamount that didn't actually perform photosynthesis, but rather perform chemosynthesis. Or they are synthesizing chemicals. Okay, like sulfur. So the sun is not the ultimate source, but the major source of energy on Earth. Variation in the activity of sun causes changes in its intensity. The intensity in the form of sunlight may cause cooling or warming effect. Okay? Effects on sun's activity cause short-term effect on climate. Okay? Again, this is connected also to the greenhouse gas. Okay? Solar activity. If we cannot reflect back, okay, the radiation from the sun, the ultraviolet rays from the sun, if this actually traps in our planets, tendency is what will happen? There is global warming. Okay, and of course, a lot of organisms may be affected by it. Tectonic plate movements. This is natural also. Tectonic plate movements cause changes in Earth's surface, leading to change in climate. Okay, Earth started as a large mass called, what is the large mass of Earth? What do you call the large mass of Earth? Anybody recall the previous lessons? The large mass of Earth.
Continent.
Come again, Jillian?
Continent.
Continent? Yes. What else? Any other idea? The concept that these land masses are actually connected with each other million years ago. Any other idea? The Earth started as a large land mass. Okay?
Pangaea.
Pangaea, correct. Okay, Earth started as a large landmass called Pangaea. Okay, but because million years ago it started to drift. But because of this drifting, okay, as plate moves, this Pangaea actually broke apart or broken apart, and of course change its climatic condition in certain areas, right? As the plate move, it causes changes on Earth's surface and its ocean basins because, again, ocean floor spreading or sea floor spreading, okay, happen. Okay? If there are some sea floor spreading, again, the ocean basins also on the land masses changes. It also changes sea levels, okay, wind circulation or wind patterns, and ocean currents which affects the climatic condition, even salinity of water. Okay, changes in water also changes its salinity or giparaton. Changes in the salinity of water would actually affect some of the animals living there. Earth's motion, okay? Earth shape or the shape of the Earth, its orbit or tilt can cause changes in the length and season and the amount of solar radiation, okay? Earth's orbit around the sun is not perfectly circular, but rather elliptical, okay? Due to the attraction of Earth with other celestial bodies, okay? Again, the movement of Earth is actually patterned with with Sir Isaac Newton's law of motion, which actually came from Einstein's idea. Okay, Newton's law of motion. Okay, that an object at rest remains at rest. An object in motion remains in motion unless acted by the unbalanced force. Okay, so what happened here is that the movement of sun is actually a movement of Earth is actually affected by some of the celestial bodies. Okay, because again, there are some forces acting on Earth. Okay, changes in the shape of the orbit also change the distance again of Earth from sun and its corresponding amount of solar radiation. Okay, the tilt of Earth and its direction also change and affect climate. It is summer in northern hemisphere when this part of Earth is tilted towards the sun. If it is towards the sun, winter occurs in the Earth when it's tilted away from the sun. Okay, in absence of the Earth's tilt, no season will be observed. Okay, it's flat. The effects of orbit shape, tilt, and precision of Earth is described as Melancholic cycle. Okay, others pronounce it Melancholic cycle. The cycle explains the variation in the length of season and amount of solar radiation. Okay, let's move now. This is the melancholic cycles. If you're going to look at it, the tilting again of Earth affects climate. Okay, again, Earth still is actually still changing from time to time because there are a lot of celestial bodies that affects Earth. There are a lot of celestial bodies that acting on it based on the law of motion by Newton. Okay. Let's move now to man-made processes. Do you have any questions so far with the natural processes? Questions so far?
Answer.
Okay. We're running out of time. We still have 9 minutes. Let me check. Okay. Human activities, greenhouse gases trap heat inside the Earth. Earth absorbs incoming radiation from the sun. When it enters Earth, some light rays are reflected back to space. Of course, it should be. However, some gases like carbon dioxide and water vapor and your CFC prevent heat in escaping the atmosphere of Earth. This process is called greenhouse effect. Okay, again, I already mentioned a lot of greenhouse effect, a lot of this in our previous topics. Okay, so let's take a look at the major effect of these greenhouse gases or this greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane are the common greenhouse gases. These gases allow the incoming radiation from the sun, but trap the heat that bounces from Earth's surface. Okay, we actually reflect back the heat. Okay, but because of these greenhouse gases, we actually trap this heat, making the Earth's surface warmer, and it actually affects climate and other organisms also. When this happens, solar energy returns to space and heats up Earth. The greenhouse gas or greenhouse effect act as Earth's blanket, making our planet warmer. To tell you honestly, we need this greenhouse effect. Okay, we need our planet to be warm because again, plants and animals need a warm environment. Even bacteria and other microorganisms need a warm environment. But too much heat can actually kill them. And of course, if they cannot adapt, tendencies, they will be eliminated. Okay? Methane, another greenhouse gas, also adds up to the concentration of greenhouse gases in the air from the livestock agricultural production. Synthetic chemicals like CFC, the one that I'm telling you a while ago, the chlorofluorocarbons in air conditioners and refrigerators also create a blanket and heat up Earth. Through the years, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is rapidly increasing. It is increasing, sad to say. And again, the increase of this can actually mean something in the other organism. When global temperature increases due to increasing amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, global warming happens. Okay, this is not the domino effect, the one that I'm telling you a while ago. Global warming leads to warmer surface temperature and higher evaporation rate. Okay, increase in evaporation rate increases the amount of water vapor in the air, in air. Okay, water vapor absorbs greater amount of heat compared to the greenhouse gases. Hence, it traps more heat in the atmosphere. It is now getting warmer and warmer. Increased temperature causes ice and glaciers to melt in polar regions. Sad to say, when ice melts, ocean absorb more solar radiation and increases temperature. It also leads to the rise of the sea level. If there is some rising the sea level, tendency is it will change the salinity of water. If there are some changes in the salinity of water, other species of fish and animals living in the sea will eventually die. They cannot actually adapt. Shoreline erosion and coastal flooding. Okay, so these are the effects of the man-made global. Okay, let's take a look at now the domino effect. Okay, talking about the greenhouse gas. Okay, burning of coals, burning of fossil fuels. If there are some burning of fossil fuels, tendency is it will create more carbon dioxide than what we are actually creating in our own selves, because the byproduct of cellular respiration is carbon dioxide. We are actually creating carbon dioxide. We are eliminating carbon dioxide in the process. Okay. After eliminating carbon dioxide in the process, we eliminate it in the atmosphere. But because we have a lot of activities like burning of garbages, okay, what else? Burning of fossil fuels, the oils, the coals, okay, it actually creates more CO2, okay? And of course, the use of CFC or chlorofluorocarbons. Okay, the more we use those chlorofluorocarbons, the more we create more methane gas. It will create a what? A blanket of Earth, which actually traps heat. We cannot reflect back the solar radiation. So if there are some, okay, trapped heat on the atmosphere, tendency is what will happen? It will create a greenhouse effect and eventually what? Eventually global warming. If there is some global warming, the ice on the polar regions, okay, the North and the South Pole will melt. The melting of the ice means that it will add up to Earth's oceans. If there are some changes of Earth's or level of water on Earth's oceans, there are some changes also of the salinity. Okay, if there are some changes in salinity, tendency is what will happen? some of the organisms of fish cannot adapt and eventually die. Okay? If there are some changes, if these organisms die, what will happen to us? Okay, we are also affected. Why? Number one, source of food, the source of income. Okay, fish and other organisms in the oceans are one of the major source of our income, source of food. The second one, if there are some rising in the sea level, then this is we will have coastal flooding. So it can actually affect us, even tsunami. Okay. Again, so if this will happen, what will happen to us? Okay, we are also affected. So this is the domino effect now of the man-made processes factor which affects climate. Okay. Again, if there are some global warming, tendency is there is a higher rate of evaporation. There's a higher rate of evaporation, tendency is what? It will be suspended in the atmosphere and create more or generate more water. If there is some more water there, condensation happens, and again, there is a greater risk of what? Typhoon. If there's some typhoon, we are still affected because there's a greater amount of precipitation or rainfall. And because we abuse nature, there's no more attachment in the soil because we cut more trees and all, and we create them, we actually convert them into subdivisions. So tendency is if there are some heavy rainfall, tendency is there will be landslides and so on. That's the effect. Okay, as you can see, it has a larger effect. Okay, giving larger effect, talking about human activities which affects climatic conditions or climate change, and of course the natural activity of Earth. Right? Do you have any questions so far? We still have 1 minute left. Questions? Questions? How about Jillian, Hillary, and EJ?
None, sir.
Okay. So expect
None.
an activity. Let's have a series of activity by next meeting, hopefully. And again, please run through with your activities. I and Rabi will be discussing, okay, the lacking activities, the classmates. Rabi will just give you an update in an RGC, right? Am I making that clear? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. I think that will be all for today, class. Thank you for your participation. Have a nice day, grade 9. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye,